Good morning. I am here in Fulshear at Cross Creek Ranch, and I'm so excited today to walk with Missy Janzow from the Franklin team. And even though it's hot here in Texas, I think we're going to have a great walk. I'm excited. So let's go. It's funny. So I was over here at Cross Creek in, I think it was 2012 with my sister.
Okay.
We came over to look, and at that time, I don't even know that, I think the lake was there. They had like the top welcome center was here, but that was like the edge of the universe.
Yeah.
Like that's all that
Yeah,
was here.
it's so crazy. I think they're about finishing it out from my understanding.
So how many lots like are there in all of Cross Creek now?
Gosh, that is like a question that I would not know.
Huge.
Honestly.
There's so many sections,
yeah, and
right?
there's so many builders in here as well, and there are. I mean, there's the 55 plus community of Bonterra. And that is finishing out this year. I know they're still building in there right now. And then you've got Cross Creek West, which is over on 359. So a whole nother section that's basically Cross Creek that they're building in just across Heritage Parkway, Texas Heritage Parkway. There's still some new building going on as well. They just bought up some property and added another little section that's kind of once removed from Cross Creek, but it's still a part of Cross Creek. This is the main, I would say the main fitness center, main swimming pool. There's a water slide if you look over to the right that goes up the hill. There's lap swimming in this pool.
So, but then does each section have its own little
subset
of amenities?
Yes, and they just added another rec center in the area that I'm talking about over across from Texas Heritage Parkway. They just added another rec center, another pool. So anyways, and obviously there's a lot of outdoor activities here between the lakes and 30 miles of hike and bike trails, which is why my husband and I landed here. Not only am I a realtor that, would like to sell in here, but I like living here. So
nice.
Yeah.
So from a realtor perspective, here's something I think is really interesting and unique with this neighborhood. It crosses school districts, doesn't it?
It does, yes. So you've got the north part of Cross Creek, because it's over 3,000 acres from south to north. So on the north side, those kids go to Jordan High School and Katy ISD. And so, those elementary and middle schools that are in the north part of the neighborhood are in Katy ISD. And then if you're on the south part, you're in Fulshear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's LCIC,
yes.
right? Lamar Consolidated,
yes.
And they go to
Correct.
Fulshear High School. So now, isn't there a new? Now I know they've got Tomas High School, but that doesn't impact this neighborhood,
you mean Tompkins?
Does it? No, the new Tomas High School for LCIC.
Oh,
that's it.
That may be the one that's going in on 359.
Yes.
I know they're putting a new high school in, and that's, Cross Creek West, if I had to guess, is going to feed into that, as well as all of those other neighborhoods like Polo Ranch and Laurel Farms. And, there's several, Del Webb is 55 plus, but there's a lot of new neighborhoods that have sprung up over on 359 that will feed into that school, if I had to guess.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, Cross Creek is it's huge. And then you've got so many decisions to make beyond just the house, right? I mean, you've got to figure out which section.
Right.
Based on school district, based on school within the school district.
Yeah. And
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And I'm not sure, whenever people are relocating here, that they necessarily realize that. So maybe they think they're getting, going to Katy ISD, and then they end up buying. And so obviously, as hopefully they're enlisting the help of a good realtor that, kind of spells everything out and make sure that they have all the information that they need when they make that decision.
Yeah, so that's something I think that a lot of buyers don't understand, right? And I think it's so important that when you're looking for a realtor, you've got to look beyond just how many years have they been in the business or how many transactions they've closed, but where they specialize.
Right.
And do they really understand the dynamics of that neighborhood better than anybody else.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. And it is, being a part of the Franklin team. I do tend to go all over the city, but live out here, and am very well versed, I would say, with whether it's fitness type activities, which I'm very interested in, or the schools and shopping. And it is just growing by leaps and bounds out here. All the new construction, not just with homes, but they're putting on Texas Heritage that will feed into like Jordan Ranch area. There's new HEB and all sorts of new retail shops going in, kind of as you go north on Texas Heritage Parkway.
Yeah, I think for a long time people underestimated the growth on the west side of Houston, both north and south.
Right.
Because I'm experiencing the same thing. I'm down south in the Rosenberg, Richmond area.
Okay.
And it's exploding.
Yes, it is.
We just bought a house off of Spur 10.
Okay.
And when I moved here 15 years ago, I would never have even considered. I mean, that was, country.
Yeah. Well,
there was
Beasley
cows.
I know there's new neighborhoods down in Beasley, and it's really considered Richmond, but I've shown
so it's Rosenberg. So my neighborhood is Brookwater,
okay,
which is right on the edge there. Emberley is like the next exit, and that's Beasley.
Okay.
So it's incredible, like the growth that's happening.
Yeah.
Out here on the west side and in the Houston area in general, of course.
Right.
But I feel like maybe Cypress got a little saturated and they're all moving down.
Yeah.
Into the southwest.
And I know people that have lived here in Fulshear for a long time and really like the rural feel of it. I don't know that they're very excited about all the growth from all the rumblings that I see on social media. It happens. And I do still feel like between like this neighborhood, I would describe it like a park. I mean, it's just like a park-like setting. I don't know how many lakes there are, but there's a ton. And the polishing pond, which is over on the main drag on Cross Creek, is actually one of the best sites in all of South Texas for photographers to come when the blue herons, I guess when they're mating, and then when, they're born, whatever that's called.
When it's blue heron season.
Yes, but on any given morning in the springtime when I would walk through there would be tons of professional photographers down there taking pictures. So the wildlife here and the way that they have managed the property in terms of conservation, if you notice, like, it kind of looks dead now because of the heat, but they don't mow down the middle parts of all of the medians going throughout the neighborhood. And then you'll notice in between the trees, they don't do that. They try to let it, I think, grow so that it doesn't let the grass die, and maybe, kind of helps to.
But it doesn't look terrible. Like, I think that's important.
No.
Right? It's all natural landscape.
And
they did that from the very beginning. I remember coming out at the beginning of Cross Creek and recognizing that difference immediately.
Yeah. So, and then you really, not that it's completely walkable to things, but the way they have it laid out here, which I appreciate. You can get to HEB, the pharmacy, any restaurant within 2 miles, because they pretty much run on the, the west side, the east side, the north side, and the south side. They're starting to put in more restaurants. And so my husband and I, not that we do it very often, but we can ride our bike and go over to, one of the local restaurants that are here just on the edge and ride back home. And
that's nice.
Yeah. So, and lots of kids are on their scooters, going to school and riding their bikes to school, and, or coming out to fish. So it's just a nice, family environment, but also with the 55 plus community here. It's a great, I've got friends that live in there, and they have lots of activities in Bonterra that are catering towards the 55 plus group, which I fall into as well. But, lots of activities. They've got their own fitness center over there, their own, pool complex. So, you know, when you're done having kids and they're out of the house, you know, if you don't want to be around a lot of splashing kids, that's the
Well, yeah,
place.
right. They have their own space. And then also, I believe, right, the HOA maintains all the front yards for them, so they don't have to
Yes,
do all the mowing in
that
the
is
front
correct.
yards and get out
Yes,
in the heat. And
right.
so that's nice.
Yep,
And it's gated as well, right?
it
I think there's
is.
several sections of Cross Creek that are gated.
There are some of the higher price point homes are in gated, back behind gates. But yeah, Bonterra for sure, it's all gated. And I guess like the main road going through it is not, you know, so the people living right on the main drag, but most everyone is tucked back into a section in Bonterra that is gated. I'm not sure what time those gates close and what time they're open, but yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, so you mentioned a few minutes ago social media.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. Like, as a realtor, what are your social media strategies? Because I think it's changed a lot.
It has, and you know, I've always been on social media. You know, as far as sharing things, I'm not from Texas originally, and so, you know, I've got family in Missouri, and they like seeing pictures and stuff. But as a realtor, I do like when we landed here in Houston, and it's such a big market. I attended a social media class for realtors, and you know that is how a lot of people moving into the area. And I, you know, you talk to people all the time, they're not from Texas, they're moving. I just met somebody last night, you know, moved from Chicago, moved from California, moved from Mexico, where, you know, wherever they're moving from. It's their way of finding home. So I mean, one of my listings right now, I pretty much every single day I'm sharing it on my Facebook and Instagram page, but then also sharing. There's so many groups here, or pages, I should say, on social media.
So I know a lot of agents, some will consider themselves primarily a listing agent,
Mm-hmm.
and some will say, "Oh, I'm a buyer agent."
Right.
Right, and of course we all do a little bit of both. Do you have a preference to sellers versus buyers?
Not necessarily. I would say that I have been probably had more opportunities representing buyers, and I do really appreciate that process, especially a first-time home buyer, because my kids are about that age, you know. But it doesn't even have to be a young adult. I mean, I've had this past 6 months a handful of, you know, people that are well into their 40s, that are first-time home buyers. And so for me, I like to educate, and it's a fun process for me to try to walk them through what that looks like, and making sure that they have the tools and the resources to be informed and know what that looks like, without too many hiccups. But, you know, on the listing side too, you know, you can empathize with those sellers, and, you know, trying to strategize and get their property where it's marketable and it looks its best. And, you know, this market right now for sellers is a little bit, I would say, frustrating.
Right.
You know, there's a lot sitting. And so, you know, I think it's even more important to try to figure out how you can get exposure for the property. But at the end of the day, you know, you've got to have buyers ready to go, and, you know, wanting to purchase in that area. So,
Wow, I'm glad we walked up this hill.
yeah, isn't it pretty?
This is an incredible view.
Yeah, it really
My
is.
gosh.
Yeah.
So those big stadium lights, is that Jordan High School? What is?
If I had to guess, yeah, that should be
Yeah.
Jordan, because Fulshear High School is back here to our southwest.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It shows just how big this neighborhood is.
Yeah,
too, right?
I mean, this is the major lake, but there's so many of them, and there is there's a fishing pier, but you see somebody fishing just down here too, and then a kayak, and a small boat launch is down here to the right. And as I mentioned, a lot of the high school running programs and football programs even bring their kids over here. I'm usually out here doing hill repeats myself in the mornings, but they're out here working out. A lot of the high schools.
Yeah, these trails look like they could just go forever.
Oh, they do. Yeah, 30 miles. So wow. A lot of kids come out here to run. So
yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Now we get to go down the hill.
Yeah, exactly.
So with buyers and education, because I think that's just so important, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
especially first time home buyers. What are your biggest pieces of advice? Like what do you start with?
Well, I mean, first getting in with a lender that knows what they're doing and not, you never, either as a realtor or a lender, really want your client to be at the very top of where they qualify. I try to make sure that I speak to it somewhat, but that they're in with a lender that educates them on what their payment is going to look like,
Mm-hmm.
so that they know what that leaves for the rest of their monthly bills, and where they want to be. And, maybe you want to be a little bit lower in that range where you're pre-approved for. So, that you have enough money left over to take a trip or buy that furniture, etc. So, I would say partnering with a lender who also likes to educate and really puts that first time home buyer, it's, making sure that they understand the process and what that monthly payment is going to look like, including the insurance and everything. So that's my first step, is, getting their pre-approval, and then, moving forward from there, just listening to them with what, obviously here in Houston, it's so big. So typically they're going to want to be in an area where they work or close. And so that would be my second, is, I know this area looks nice, but are you going to be okay fighting,
With being in the car
morning
for
rush hour
45 minutes
for an
each way, or
hour?
yeah.
Should we look a little bit closer to where you're going to be working? Um, and then, sometimes it's bringing them down, and making them be realistic, because, I mean, we would all love that brand new big home with all the bells and whistles, but it may be out of our price range. And so making them realize, what within their price range, what is a reasonable, home or homes that we should be looking at for them. Um,
I think that's a good way too to form a long-standing relationship with that buyer, right? Maybe it's a strategy. I mean, I just can appreciate this coming from the Bay Area of California. Typical folks do not just step into the housing market,
right.
right? In the Bay Area, you have to have a long-term strategy. We did that. We bought a little townhouse, and we were in there for a little over 2 years, and then we were able to use that equity to move up.
Yes.
So it's a long-term plan, which as a realtor, right, that's a good thing, because now you're developing that long-term relationship,
Right.
and giving them long-term goals to get to that house that they want.
Yes, absolutely. And understanding when I was a first time home buyer and the size of home and what we spent on it, which was all we had, and it wasn't much, but then seeing how we were able to turn around and sell it, and how much equity and how much we were able to take from that to put into the next home. And so just being a, home buyer for, or a home owner for over 20 years has a lot, gives me some experience with that as well, to be able to speak to it.
Yeah. So, okay, so you've been in real estate about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what got you there?
I think that helping people is a big part of my personality, and wanting, in my work ethic is nuts. I come from a background of sports and athletics, and have pushed myself with that, and that just feeds into every aspect of my life. So I would be the agent that is texting my client at 11 o'clock at night if they're texting me, and responding at 6 a.m. the next morning to somebody texting with me. So I'm kind of all cylinders, but I want to make sure that I'm doing the best by my clients, and so that it's a good fit for my personality.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize, and I know, again, like especially California in the early 2000s, we used to joke that more people had a real estate license than had driver's licenses in California.
Yeah.
Like everybody got their real estate license because they thought, oh, look at these commissions. Like I could make, rich quick, not realizing, first of all, you're now a business owner.
Right.
Like you are running a business.
Yeah.
And you have to treat it like a business.
Right.
If you want to be successful and stay busy.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, and that no one sees behind the scenes, and especially here in Houston. I mean, we traded in a car last August, and downsized, and I have put 30,000 miles on that car, mostly from driving around the city, showing homes and
Yeah.
such. So I think the other part of real estate, and again, it's just our background, my background, we have moved, big moves, 7 or 8 times in our adult lives. And, you know, every single time that we moved, I knew how important it was for me to find my people, find my place, not just the right home, but the neighborhood, the community, the friends, the gym, you know, whatever it was, the school. And so having that experience of moving so many times, I think about that when I have a client, especially moving from out of state, and where are they going to be happy? You know, like let's talk, and let's not just talk about the house. What kind of things do you like to do? You know, is it important that you're in the middle of the city? Is that what you like? You want to be in a high rise where you have easy access, or for me, you know, is it being out where you can breathe a little bit and have access to walking trails and a little bit of nature here in the city? And see, you look down here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a daily, the bird sightings here are amazing.
Do you find that it's hard to sometimes get buyers to slow down? Like, I know so many people they'll look at houses on Zillow, not really understanding the neighborhood. Like we talked about, Houston is huge, right? You could drive an hour and a half and still be in Houston.
Yeah.
I think people that don't live here don't realize that. And is it difficult to get buyers sometimes to slow down? Like they'll get fixated on a house that they saw online that they liked.
Right.
And then you're like, but wait a minute, you like to ride bikes, or you have small children in school. This neighborhood is not going to be the best fit for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But to get them to slow down and look at the big picture.
Yeah, and I mean, and even sometimes it's getting, I mean, I've had to take a step back from showings and with, you know, couples and say, you two are not on the same page here. Like, we're looking at all this, but obviously she is not happy. Like, you all need to go home and sit down. I always tell people when we start the process of, you know, when I get a call on a home, like, what are your big threes? What are your top priorities?
Oh, I love that.
So that we can streamline a little bit. Okay, so, you know, location may be number one. Obviously, price comes in there, you know, but then there's going to probably be some other important factor. You know, sometimes it's the school district they want to be in, or a particular school. And so then everything kind of falls around that. And another kind of tidbit that I got from one of our other teammates that does do a lot of listings here, but when you get them and you're showing, I always now say, we're going to rate this home on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, because if you're looking at a ton of homes, it starts to get a little confusing. And so, you know, I say anything that rates 8 or better, we could put a contract in on, you know, because they're looking sometimes for that unicorn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have said, like, not, you know, we're probably not going to find a house that checks every single box. Like, so again, that's kind of bringing your buyer into reality a little bit. So yeah.
That's a good way to get them organized, though.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, this has been such good information, and what a nice place to walk. This has been really nice today. Okay, so now we get to do our fun little lightning round while we walk to make our walk go by. So we're going to play a game called Buy It or Bust It.
Okay.
So for people that don't know, here in Texas, when a transaction falls through or cancels, we call that a busted transaction. So we're just going to take some market trends and go buy it or bust it with them. Okay. All right, ready? Okay. So the first one, buy it or bust it, multi-generational living.
Mm-hmm. I would say buy it. And I have had at least a few clients in the past couple of months that are looking at multi-generational. I think it's kind of two-part. You do see more families, not just from specific cultures, but I mean, all sorts of families moving in together because it makes sense with the pricing of things in today's economy. And so I think it's a nice way of not just saving on costs when you have, different family members living together, but also the second part of it, and I know we've got family that lives in Missouri. And so when they come down to visit, we fortunately are in a one story, but they are kind of tucked back with their own bedroom and bathroom. But when you've got family coming in from out of state for a longer visit, I think it makes sense to have that secondary area where your guest can kind of be off on their own. Some of those multi-generational homes have, kitchenettes. They even have a little living area. Some of them are even equipped with a small washer and dryer. And so, now if you don't like your guests to come and want to stay forever, then it could be a bust. But I think it makes sense in today's world.
I like to think, in my own selfish way, as a Gen X parent, I give my kids are grown now, but more freedoms than my boomer parents did. So moving back into my house wouldn't be such a bad idea.
Yeah.
Right? And then they could save up money for their own down payment or pay off any student loan debts or whatever they have to get themselves ready for the next phase of life.
I completely agree. I mean, our youngest son took a semester off, didn't quite know what he was wanting to do, and so he moved back in with us. He got a full-time job in the banking industry because he's finance major, and it worked out fine. And again, the way our house is laid out, he was kind of up at the front of the house with his own little area. But I do think you're seeing that more with college kids not being able to find a job right out and having to move back in, which I would have never thought about when I graduated from college. Even during college, I was like, see you later. I'm getting my own place.
But see, we're such good parents, Missy, that our children
our kids want
obviously want to live with us.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, next one. Buy it or bust it. New construction.
Okay. So I think, when I have people looking at new construction, and I would say buy it. I mean, right now, the incentives are incredible. I think there's just so much inventory sitting that my client from California, we just, we got her house for $65,000 less than what it initially listed at. She also got $20,000 in flex cash to use for closing or to buy down rate. And then it came with all of her appliances and blinds. I mean, you can't beat that.
People don't realize how much money window coverings cost.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's unfortunate for the resale right now because the incentives that new construction is running, they can't really compete very well. You're having to see sellers and their listing agents really kind of get unique in some of the things they're offering to try to compete. But yeah, I mean, new construction is great. I've told people they're not. I mean, it's not like you're going to buy the house and it not be flawless. I mean, it's people are human, so they're going to make mistakes, and there's going to be some things wrong with it. You think you're going to buy new construction and you're going to get the inspection report back and it's going to be perfect, and that's not always the case. But
you do have a warranty.
But you do have a warranty, and the likelihood that everything is going to be up to code and pretty easy fix and not much wrong with it is really good potential. So I would definitely say buy. I think it's been I just got something across my desk this morning on no interest with one of the builders for 7 months. And, I told my husband, I'm like, I think we should go buy a house. So it's allowing some, people that maybe have been on the sidelines not being able to buy for a number of reasons to get into a brand new construction home at a pretty reasonable, price and interest rate.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, last one. Buy it or bust it. Investor buyers.
So I would say it probably is somewhat dependent on the area. I think You need to make sure that you're doing your research. As far as, is your property, if it had been rented previously, getting a rental history. And if what I have seen a lot, clients that I've gotten, there are a number of areas here in Houston that are being regentrified. They are tearing down old and putting up brand new. And a lot of them are these multifamily or duplex structures, brand new, beautiful structures. But you need to make sure that at that price point, you're going to be able to rent it out for what you need to rent it out for, to make it make sense. That you're not just able to make the payment, but if you're investing, you're trying to make money. So
I think too, what floors me is I see a lot of investor buyers that are not present at the property, like pretty much ever.
Right.
Like we were, talking about an investor buying a house and not even doing the final walkthrough. They may have a good rental history on paper, but what does the house actually look like? Not just aesthetically, right, that you can tell from pictures or somebody does a quick walkthrough, but the real condition.
Yes.
Did you check everything in the attic? Are you going to need a new roof? Is it going to need new HVAC? Because all of a sudden those expenses pop up,
right,
that you didn't anticipate.
Yeah, because the price, I've gotten people that I want to buy in KDISD up to 250, and it's like the price point and the school are there two things. Well, just what you're saying, like what condition is that home in at a 220 price point, and when was the roof updated, when was the HVAC? Because you as the investor, you don't want all these expenses all of a sudden you take over, and then you're having to put all this money into the property that maybe you weren't, so again, having a buyer's agent that maybe understands from looking at the home and at the seller's disclosure and asking the right questions. Why don't we ask for some seller's concessions here or drop the price, because you're going to probably have to put a new roof on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I thought this was going to be really tough in the heat, right? Texas
Yeah,
in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But
we're surviving.
Yes, a strong couple of women here.
Yeah.
Self-starters. We got this. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And everybody, please be sure to like and subscribe.